last thing, and then going home, I was taking a shower, and because I do that occasionally, and I was thinking, most of you have heard it by now. There's an audio quote, probably a video quote as well, of Bernie saying, talking about the Soviet Union, and people are talking about food lines in the Soviet Union like that's a bad thing. Food lines aren't a bad thing. Food lines are a good thing. Food lines are a sign that people are getting food. They're not starving to death in the streets. Food lines are a good thing. And I thought to myself, Bernie, whenever you see a line, that's because there's a shortage. And if you see a line in Disneyland, that's because there's a shortage of available boats to take people through Pirates of the Caribbean. A line is a sign of a shortage, and food lines are signs of food shortages. If you're saying that the history of the world, let me rephrase that. If you're saying that here in America, we have a choice between starving or getting into a food line, that those are the only two things that have happened in American history, either starving or getting into a food line, that's it, then you're out of your mind. A food line, to say a food line is better than starving is correct, but to say that that's the only choice is ridiculous. We don't have food lines in America not because people are starving, Bernie. We don't have food lines in America because people are starving. And God, if only there was some food we could line up for it, what a great thing that would be. We don't have food lines in America, Bernie, because we have an incredible excess of food produced by our economic system. And if you're basically saying that food lines are good, and that is a direct verbatim quote of what you said, and it's not taken out of context because you went on to explain it. If you're saying that food lines are good, then you are saying that you don't understand anything. You are saying that a shortage of food is a good thing because the only alternative to a shortage of food is no food. But what may become clear to you, if you were to simply get out and walk around America a little bit, you'd find that there are not two choices, starvation or food lines. There's actually three. There's starvation, there's food lines, and then there's plenty. And we're not talking about how do we get to the plenty. We're in the plenty, and we've been in the plenty since we've been here. To say that it's either starvation or food lines is to show that you're just an absolute. You know what? What it shows is that you're not that stupid. You understand this on some level. It just means that if your best argument for communism and the execution and murder of tens, if not hundreds of millions of people, if your best argument for that is the ones you proposed, which is that food lines aren't a bad thing, or that I've been to the mass transit system, I've been to the metro, it's the cleanest mass transit system I've ever seen, the metro in Moscow. There's no garbage there whatsoever. And there are beautiful paintings, and there's chandeliers everywhere. And if you actually believe that chandeliers and paintings in the subway station are worth millions of people's lives and a life of poverty, starvation, hopelessness, and alcoholism, if you think that all of that is offset by having nice train stations in a few stations in a country that covers a sixth of the planet, those train stations don't look like that in Ekaterinburg. They don't look like that in Novosibirsk. They don't look like that anywhere. They don't look like that in Vladivostok, and they don't look like that in the enormous distances in between. A few metro stations in the capital have very, very, very nice decorations. And if you think that that outweighs capitalism, then what that tells me is that in the entire spectrum of things to offer for socialism, in the entire spectrum of things that people would want to have socialism in their lives for, the best example that you can come up with is they provide better decorated train stations. That's it. That's all you got. That's where you went because that's all you had. The reason we should go to socialism is because they have food lines, which means they have food. Also, they have very, very well decorated, beautiful, and exceedingly clean public transit system in one part of the city. Wow. That's it, huh? It's a great line. You know, it's not mine. Some comedian came up with it, and I don't think it was Yakov Smirnov, but it's like in Soviet Russia, you have lines for bread. In America, bread lines up for you. It's absolutely true. Was that Ann Coulter? I don't know. Somebody said it. It's great. In America, bread lines up for you. Walk into a supermarket, any supermarket in America, and you will see the bread lined up for you. Was it Yakov? I'm surprised. Yeah, it sounds like him. So, I don't know. I really do think that these people have failed. I really do. And people are saying better red than dead. That's a false choice too. Better red than dead. Okay, but wouldn't it be better to be free than red or dead? Wouldn't that be a better choice? If you're saying I'd rather be a slave than be dead, that's what you're saying. That's a choice you may want to make, but wouldn't it be better if there was a third choice, because there is? What if it's not like either I'm a slave or dead? What if it's I'm either a slave or dead or I'm free? Wouldn't you pick the free? I'd pick the free. When you say better red than dead, or when you say, the whole food line argument stuff, it's like you're leaving out an important choice. It's not starvation versus food lines. It's starvation versus food lines versus prosperity. And when you say it'd rather be red than dead, it's not red or dead. It's red or dead or free. You're leaving out a choice, and you're leaving out the best choice, by far the best choice, and you're leaving that choice out because you're running against that choice. Idiots. Anyway, it's been a fun time. Hey, look at that. 2 whole hours, just a little under, of nonstop jibber-jabbering, I guess some people would call it. Anyway, I think I'll do it for this edition of the Stratosphere Lounge, made possible by the paying members at BillWhittle.com, to whom we are very, very grateful. And as always, we'd love to have you be one of them if you're not one already. And as far as I said, we don't know what's coming. We don't have any idea. So as far as I'm concerned, at the moment, I'm going to be in Miami on the 14th of May, getting ready for our cruise on the 15th of May, until I hear otherwise. And I think that's the smart play. You don't know what could happen. Once something has been rescheduled or postponed, it's done. Maybe things will get better. I don't know. It's not looking that way, but we'll see. We'll see. So anyway, you guys be careful out there. That Johns Hopkins studies can be found at Johns Hopkins University's webpage. Just look for it. It's updated daily. I did not invent those statistics. To be honest with you, I wouldn't have had the nerve to invent statistics that looked as good as those statistics did in the face of what I've been told so far. And special thanks again to Lord Bios, who sits there quietly pulling me back from stepping over cliffs and things like that, and to all the rest of you as well, and all the support. It's been really, really great. Courage, who knows? What's that line from? Hang on. Oh my God, how do I not know this? No. It's Apollo 13. It's Apollo 13. It's like this is going to be a catastrophe for NASA. It's going to be a catastrophe, and there he stands, man. Gene Kranz says, "No, sir, I disagree. I think it's going to be our finest hour." I have that feeling. I really do. I don't know why, but I do. Let's see. Anyway, Roy Hamill has a cool idea about starting something like a 3D version of the Stratosphere Lounge. We really ought to do this in Star Citizen, and that's coming. And for those of you that don't play, you know what, guys? Maybe we should do this in the not-too-distant future. I know that Foghorn is usually still here. I know Lisa's here. We could do the Stratosphere Lounge using FOIP, and we could set it in some scenic location, and we could stream it out that way. We do the whole Stratosphere Lounge that way. Here come the crew, the guys that make this stuff actually happen, the guys that actually keep the organization running while I'm off. talking about Bay of Pigs, Foghorn, and Lisa, and all the rest of them. So yeah, not next week, but maybe soon. We'll do a Stratosphere Lounge from a scenic location, and I'll have the facial tracking on there, which is not good enough to do the work I want to do, but good enough to give you a general suggestion. You saw some of that I put out there almost a year ago now. So we'll play up, do some practice on that, and then I can kind of set it up right so that I could just walk. I could walk for or drive for an hour. As long as I'm looking at the screen, we could do it that way, I suppose. As long, especially if Foghorn was streaming it or something, I could just be looking at the camera, and I could be driving in a rover across the surface of a planet, and we could do the whole show that way, and that could be fun. Yeah, it'd be definitely fun. All right. Anyway, I'm heading home. Thanks for all the people who make this possible. Thanks for all the people who've been so incredibly helpful in the Star Citizen universe, and is already having an effect on people who just are curious about how so many people could behave so professionally and well and maturely and be so eager to help people and all the rest of it. So already it's starting to have an effect. So that'll do it, and we should be back, and we will be back. Am I going? I have to check my travel schedule. I'm sure we'll be here next week. So until then, you guys, be careful, and I'm not saying don't be afraid, but be sure you put your fear in an appropriate size box and do your best to keep it there. And we'll get through this just fine. And it may turn to be way forward now, looking back on the whole thing. This COVID-19 thing may have looked like, a major blessing for all of us. Oh, and thank you to Merlin for your offer as well. Didn't know if I saw you there or not, and I'll get back to you on that one too. Just had a lot of stuff I had to close out this last week, and things are developing so fast that it just was tough for me to really get on that. But thanks again for all of that too. So all right, I will see you guys later. Some of you I'll see sooner than others. The rest of you I'll see next Thursday night. And you guys take care out there, and we'll see you next time right here on the Stratosphere Lounge.